watch us, let's go, gonna break it down, piece by piece, Nerf's got a secret we'll release. Old or new.
What is up, Nerf Nation? This is your boy Normatico, and I am here with a review / warning for you and for any parent Nerfers out there, because let's just face it, folks, false advertisement is a thing. Now, when you actually go on Amazon, we all understand that there are fake bot accounts that create fake reviews for certain blaster companies, primarily the ones that are based out of China necessarily, because of the fact that there's no way for other people to actually know whether the crap's actually really good or not. Now, I am not going to slam Chinese-made products necessarily because of the fact that there are some reputable companies out there. So, for example, ZWQ, ZenWiki, they make some great blasters. So does Worker. Worker, obviously, we all know this in the hobby. They're fantastic blasters. I mean, the Quinlan is my favorite blaster that I have in my entire collection. Followed closely by the Harrier, and then my standard go-to whenever I'm in a 150 round is my Phoenix 2.0. So that being said, there are good products that come out of China. However, that being said, there's also a lot of crap. And yes, I'm going to unfilter myself for this one because the amount of horsefuckery that I've encountered off of Amazon recently has been mind-boggling. Let's talk about the blaster that I have here right now. Now, this blaster, it is an AEG or an AEB, depending on which terminology you like to use. It's an automatic electric blaster, and it is a Springer. It is not a flywheeler. So that's the main difference, is that it is a full auto Springer. Now, it is modeled very similar to, say, a Vulcan and a Stampede, in the sense that a Vulcan, in the sense that it has dual firing modes. You can actually use it battery powered, or you can use it with a hand crank, which the Vulcan, if you did actually use the priming bolt, you could prime it individually and shoot it manually. I haven't done a review on a Vulcan because my channel's not that old, and frankly, I might do one later on when I modify one. So, that being said, let's talk about this blaster. It doesn't really have a name. And the price of it is very pricey on Amazon. When you see this, you're going to balk at it. Now, it does look cool. The colors, the blending of the plastic, it looks really nice. Even the quality of the plastic, that's pretty solid. So it looks interesting, and it feels comfortable in your hands. It feels like it's a solid blaster. It doesn't feel cheap. Because of that, the price is $89.99. That's right, $89.99, almost $90. When you include tax on it, you're looking at around $97 for this blaster. Now, for $97, I see that price, and I look at the descriptions, I'm like, oh man, this thing ought to be amazing. It's going to be better than the Ragefire, because the Ragefire, it retails for $44.99 or $45.99. If it's out of stock in a lot of places, you'll see an Amazon seller for, asking $73.99 for it, but whatever. I've seen it as low as $25.99 for the X-Shot. Now, while the X-Shot Ragefire does feel like it's a cheaper quality plastic, because X-Shot, the performance on that thing is stock, if not better. And the modability on it is really good. But let's talk about this blaster here, because at $89.99, you're expecting pretty decent performance out of this. Especially for something that on the descriptor, as in the name of it, is high-powered Gatling gun, I hate that word, blaster, for boys, obviously, because girls aren't going to enjoy this. Whatever. Sexist China. Point is that you should be getting something that is decent. Now, let's talk about what you do get. You do get a little sight here, and it does have telescopic abilities a little bit. Not too much. It does magnify a little bit. Mainly, it centers what you're looking at, and it zooms on it by like maybe 0.5%. So, I mean, it's a good little functionality. You do have one Picatinny rail up here up top, and it does have a carrying handle, which is a nice orange color, and you have the orange muzzle at the front. You do have a hand crank back here, so you can actually manually crank this blaster, and you do get a very, firm plastic chain. You do have a battery compartment right here. I'm not going to flip it over because it is such a bulky blaster that is clearly labeled. It's a different color. It's very similar in this orange, but more of a gold. And it holds a 3.7 lithium-ion IMR pack. So it doesn't go with a full LiPo. Of course, if you wanted to run a LiPo on here, you could actually just rewire it using the connections that are there, and to your heart's content, have fun. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But the question is it worth it? all it's going to do is increase your rate of fire. Now, the rate of fire on this thing, let's go ahead and actually show you that because it's something. I mean, and I'm going to ask for your forgiveness right now because of the fact that I do have a dog and Pixie's laying down here by my feet. She might get a little upset about the noise because this thing, oh my gosh. So the rate of fire on that with full auto is... So that is what it sounds like. Now, you can't really see her because she's off camera, but the dog is right here at my feet looking up at me like, what the heck is that? And she's about to eat the blaster. She kind of wants to jump up and bite it. Pixie, you okay, honey? You're a good girl. Anyways, so that being said, it is a loud blaster. Now, what that means to me is that this blaster is something that's going to be sold in the US or maybe even mainland China. I don't know if this is going to actually exist in a lot of other countries because of the fact that it is very loud. And as we know with what they did with the N series, they had to remove slam fire on a couple of the blasters because of the fact that it was too loud for certain countries. So that thing is pretty loud. Now, rate of fire, again, it's decent, it is okay, and I'm not going to fault it for that. But what we are going to talk about, though, are the FPS numbers. Now, I may show you a chronograph reading on this thing, because, again, this is just more of a warning. We know that Nerf Standard Elites are, that the standard is 65 to 70 FPS. Now, the Rage Fire, it actually comes in above that, and that's fantastic. Almost anything that Hasbro makes hits anywhere between 65 to 70, and if not a little higher sometimes. Now, N-Strike, of course, was lower than that. That's where you get the 55s and the 50s, which that's where Vulcan is at. That was also almost 20 years ago. I feel old. Anyways, when you see these chronograph numbers, and I'm going to show them to you here shortly, you're going to see that this thing struggles to hit 40. Yeah. To give you an idea, if I was to shoot across the room, and this room is about 27 feet long, it would barely make it across the room. It would make it, yes, but you would see the curvature. You would see it hit the apex of the curve, the arc, and then you would see it fall down. Because, again, this is at an angle. You can't really tell on camera, but this is tilted upwards at right around, I want to say, 15 degrees. So, because of that, yeah, I can't. Now, the reviews on this blaster is that, oh, it hits super hard, it goes really fast, it's amazing. Those are all the 5-star reviews, and they all say the same thing. This is where I'm getting into the review bot thing. And then you have a couple that are 1-star, and then maybe one that's like a 2 or a 3-star, talking about disappointment. And that is that it worked for one day, and then it stopped working. Now, in my case, it's false, it's false goods. You're going to say that it's high-powered blaster. I want high power. Now, it looks cool. That's fine. But no one's going to use this. And here's the truth of the matter. Yes, if you're going to give it to like a 6-year-old, they might think, oh, wow, that's really neat. Yay, thanks, Mom and Dad. But then you realize that they're going to stop playing with it when one of their friends brings out like a Rage Fire or even, I'll say it, bust out an old Vulcan that they found at a thrift store. Because you can find those all over the place. Now, because of that, I do want to warn y'all, $89.99, way too much. Now, I am glad that I did not spend $89.99 on this thing. In fact, my total cost for this thing was about $14 because of the fact that I got this off of a warehouse where you actually bid on Amazon returns, and I hope that this was one of the 1-star reviews. Now, it does work. I did check it out. I opened it up. Everything is fine. It functions exactly how it should be. But the truth is that it's just not that good to begin with. And that being said, even though I spent less than $15 on this thing, I'm still disappointed. I'm still very disappointed. And for me to say that I'm disappointed on a $15 blaster that is normally retailing at $89.99, that tells you something because, newsflash, I'm kind of a cheapskate. I have no problem admitting it. I'm a thrifter. I like, not paying full price for things. So, that being said, let's talk about the chronograph numbers. I'm going to set up my chronograph really quick and show you this because it's ridiculous. Yeah. We'll be back with my final thoughts.
For kids, for teens, for the keen, we'll test the best you've ever seen.
final thoughts. If you see this listing on Amazon, run. Like, run away. Head for the hills. Do not look back. Just run the fuck away. Because this thing is worthless. You sell from the chronograph. I think the highest number I got was 43. Now, that was with a chili dart. And I had a sort of darts there. Normally, you'd say, oh, well, maybe, all the other darts hit the same. Well, no. There were actually like 3 or 4 chili darts that were fired. 43 was the highest one. And I think the lowest one got like 27. So, as you can see, it really does not at all make the cut. This is something that would be played with temporarily. And again, it does, it does have its charm, I guess. The hand cranking mechanism is kind of neat. I dig the fact that you can switch between, battery powered and non. But again, you're dealing with other things. That hand crank is not very smooth. It's very loud. I purposely did not play any music when I was doing the chronograph test because of the fact that, yeah, I want you to hear how loud this thing is. It's just not good. Now, I could have chronoed it using the battery power, but I can tell you that it's not a flywheel, so that's not going to do anything. The hand crank is probably better to actually control your FPS with than using the actual battery. So there you have it. This is the Gatling gun toy blaster for boys, 8 and up, whatever the heck the listing is, because they do change the names every now and then. You're not even going to find this unless you do a search for foam dart blaster on Amazon and scroll to like the 6th page or something. Then you might see it. But yeah, if you see this for $89.99, say no. If you see it for $15, say no. Maybe a little bit less, and you get some parts here because, again, it does come with about 60 darts. The sight is actually kind of worthwhile for cosplay purposes. And honestly, I might scrap it for screws and spare parts because other than that, I do not see a reason to have this thing other than to, have fun chucking it in the garbage can. I wonder if I can make a skit out of that. Well, this sucked. I want to thank you all for watching Secondhand Blasters. Until next time, keep on blasting.